everybody. This is Angela from Texas, and you're listening to 5 Picks and a Chick featuring El Gato. This is the show that gives you 5 NFL picks for people who love football and friendly wagering. However, football season has now come to an end. Wah wah. So we are going to do off-season picks for you. It'll include NCAA picks, March Madness or conference going into March Madness, NBA, baseball, maybe hockey, maybe horse racing, who knows. We'll give some picks for you probably every other week just to keep our little podcast going. Today it is just El Gato and I. We don't have a special guest. Say hello to our listeners out there, El Gato.
Good afternoon, everybody. We had a good Super Bowl weekend last Sunday, and we're just going to do a brief recap. I think Ash's going to start with the recap, and we'll just go through the pain and suffering once again.
Yeah, exactly. Pain and suffering is right. We did go 1-1 last week. Both of us did. We had the over and we had the Eagles. That was tough, a tough game. But before we start talking about the Super Bowl, I wanted to give our final NFL season records. Mine was 50 wins, 44 losses, 1 push. And El Gato's was 46 wins, 48 losses, and 1 push. I say not too bad for our first season doing this podcast, El Gato.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, football is tough to pick, but it was a fun season. We both had some up and downs throughout the year. We got on some good runs, and then we got on some streaks that do happen. But moving forward, looking forward to next football season, I think we can both tighten up, some picks, our research, our evaluations, and I'm really looking forward to a good season next NFL.
I agree. I'm already counting down the days for the next NFL season to start up. So that's how much I am ready.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, let's go ahead and just do a little Super Bowl recap. That game was just so tough. It started off great for the Eagles. In my opinion, thought Jalen Hurts was the best player out of all players. His performance was the best in the game. I just thought he played the best. Do you kind of have a thought on his performance, or any thoughts on Jalen Hurts?
I do. I think you're right, and not only because I was rooting for the Eagles to win the Super Bowl. I thought they had a chance to win it. But if you just look at his stats, the impact he had on the game when it started, even through the third quarter when the Chiefs got on that run, he kept them in the game, and he let them on the field a few times to move them back into tying the game and making that 2-point conversion. He was really the person that kept the Eagles in this when they were falling behind. They could have fallen behind by as much as 2 touchdowns at one point. But he had the better stats. But as it goes, so with the NFL and the Super Bowl, usually the team that wins has the MVP. And there are so many ups and downs. Emotional changes in that game. The way it started, the Eagles came out strong. Led into halftime, good. I think it was, correct me if I'm wrong, Angela, was it a solid 10-point lead, 2-score game?
Yeah, at halftime it sure was,
yeah,
yes.
At halftime, and I guess Andy Reid and the Chiefs offense, give them credit. They came out in the third quarter and they said, we're going to play ball, we're going to go down the field and score, and they did, and I think they scored 3 straight touchdowns before the Eagles kind of knew, what was going on. But a couple of plays in that second half. The most important one, I think, was that punt return, and that really changed. That gave, I think, the Chiefs, obviously a short field, less than 20 yards. They were in that red zone, And then from there, I mean, it was it was tense. The blood pressure kept going up and up and up until, well, we know what happened there at the end with that holding penalty. It was a crucial call. But getting back to who the best player was in that game, I'll agree with you on that one. I thought it was Jalen, but I give Mahomes credit also. He led his team to scores in the second half to pull out that victory.
Yeah. I even said in our podcast I thought it was going to possibly be some type of special teams play that makes this game, a win for one team and not the other. So that run back, that was huge. Unfortunately, the defense on the Eagles side couldn't do anything the second half, like you said, and like I've said before, the offensive genius Andy Reid was able to disrupt the Eagles defense.
Yeah, I mean that you're right about that defense. It was kind of disappointing the way they fell apart in that second half, especially that secondary.
Yeah.
Andy Reid and that offensive coordinator. Well, he's both, isn't he? The OC.
No, there is an offensive coordinator. I can't think of his name right now, but Andy Reid does call the offensive plays. But there is an offensive coordinator, but I can't think of his name. But yes.
But Andy Reid came up with a good design, and he kept running it. And he kept running it and daring the Eagles to stop it. I'm talking about the two cornerbacks and that little action that he ran with the wide out, and then he brought a motion receiver into the slot, and then both would run a straight route, and the DBs, the defensive backs for the Eagles, would just get confused on who to take who, and that's why they were so wide open. And he kept running that play, and they could never adjust.
Yeah.
I mean, he must have run that thing, I don't know, 6 times, 7 times in the second half on third and conversions, and of course, a few of them went for wide open touchdown passes. So, give Andy Reid credit. You're right. I mean, he's a genius.
Yeah, and we had also said in the podcast, we really thought that Eagles defense would put pressure on Mahomes early in the game and really test out that ankle. And they were not able to get to him. It was, again, I'm sure Andy Reid's the offensive line and the game plan that he had for the offensive line, along with the offensive coordinator, I'm sure. But finally, I think they really got to him and had him had to run out of the pocket right before the half, and that's when he re-injured that ankle. And I thought, oh my God, there it is. That's game for the Eagles, because at that point they were up by 10. But that wasn't the case. I mean, they came back and were able to, get a win. They couldn't do anything in that second half, the defense, and it was just so disappointing. They allowed the Chiefs to score, I think, on almost every drive in the second half.
Yeah, just about. You're right. The Eagles couldn't find an answer for whatever Andy Reid was scheming up, whether it was an inside run play, whether it was a pass to Kelsey. I mean, shocking. He was wide open. Almost every time he got a target on him, he was, clearly open almost all the time.
Yeah.
And, but, it was an entertaining game. My team didn't win, but, when it comes to the last game of the season, I mean, it comes down to, really the last play of the game, because the Eagles really didn't have a chance, on that kickoff return or that one play that they had. But, that's all you can ask for to end for a Super Bowl, win it on the last drive, last play. And that's what the NFL fans got, a good, solid game.
Yep. That's correct. And just to give the Chiefs offensive coordinator some kudos, his name is Eric Bieniemy, I believe is how you pronounce his last name.
Yeah,
so
there you go.
Yeah, so definitely want to give him some props, because that was an amazing game. I know that there was a lot of talk about that call at the end of the game. And my thoughts on that is you cannot leave the game up to the officials. by a bad call or a possible bad call. You got to handle your business early, and unfortunately that did not take place for the Eagles. So
yeah, I agree with that.
All right, you got any more to say about the Super Bowl?
I don't, other than in about a year we'll be talking about the next Super Bowl, right?
Yeah, I can't wait. I cannot wait. Next Super Bowl is in Las Vegas. I say we go.
Oh my God, that will be.
Start saving your pennies.
That'll be a crazy town. Let's see if we can pull it off.
Yep, save your pennies because it's going to be crazy and expensive.
That's right. No kidding.
I didn't want to leave our listeners with anything pick-wise. So I have an NCAA pick for you and our listeners. Now, this is going to be on a game that starts at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, so you got to get your bet in early on this one. My pick is going to go, we're going to go in the Ivy League in college ball. My pick is Cornell -10 at home against Dartmouth. And Cornell is coming off 3 straight losses, all on the road. They are now coming home where they play much better and are 9-1. And Dartmouth is 3-8 on the road. So although both are 5-5 in their conference, Cornell averages about 14 points a game more than Dartmouth and should be able to win this game pretty comfortably. So that's going to be my one pick that we have on this podcast for today.
All right.
Any comments or anything, at all about Super Bowl, NFL season ending, college ball, picks coming up?
Well, yeah, the Dartmouth-Cornell game, I really don't have a comment on that. I do know, however, that the students there have excellent SAT scores to get in.
Yeah,
I know their trash talk is probably who has higher scores than the other, but
you're probably right about that.
They play good ball in the Ivy League. Pretty exciting. Some of those teams do make the tournament, so we'll see what happens this evening. I'll take a peek and see how they're performing. All
right, sounds good. Well, I think that will be all for this short podcast. Thank you for listening to 5 Picks and a Chick. Be sure to tell your friends about us. Also hit the subscribe and like button on our YouTube channel. You can also find us on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Make sure to join us in 2 weeks where we will give you some picks. We'll give you 5 picks in 2 weeks. As always, thank you to El Gato for being part of 5 Picks and a Chick. 1, 2, 3, break.